Hello and welcome back. In today's video, I want to talk about how to actually optimize your campaigns quickly and what to check on the day to make sure you don't overspend. So it's going to be an interesting part today because I'm actually going to go behind the scenes in the computer here in my office, how we actually look at campaigns, what are the daily quick checks you can do if you don't have a lot of time. The whole point of this video is to give you some tools for you actually to know what to look for, how to increase bids, how to decrease bids. It's going to be a small behind the scenes of how we optimize campaigns quickly in a very abbreviated version. And just to give you a bit of context of who we are, what we do, and why you should even listen to me. My name is Yanni. I've been selling on Amazon for over 6 years now. I've sold millions of my own brands, and now I have a full service Amazon agency where we work with over 25 clients, millions and millions in ad spend, and we manage a little bit over 40 million now in revenue. So we do have a lot of data when it comes to what needs to happen. And just to give you a context, the categories we work with vary. It's from supplements, furniture, sex products, like everything you can think of we work with. So let's go to the computer and I'll show you what we do. So here we are in the favorite Amazon seller site. Here we're going to be more in the campaign manager part. But overall, what you want to be looking at, and this is very important, you need to understand what you're looking for so you know what to fix. What I love to look at and what the team loves to look at is the sales. How are the sales yesterday and what was the ad spend yesterday? It's very easy to do that. You can either see it here from the graphs or you can actually go to the reports here. If you go to reports, business reports, and if you're looking for yesterday, you go to yesterday's data and you look at here at the sales. I would suggest to use this because it's much faster and you can see a journey. See, I can see from the 21st of July to the 27th, which is today. And I can see all of this range and what's happening. Why was there a dip? There was a big increase here. Why is that? I want to figure this out so I can actually investigate it and see if it's stock, see if it's ads, see if it's something that's missing. Many times when there is a consistent, let's say $4,000 or $5,000 per day and you have a day where you're doing just 1,000, usually it's out of stock issues or maybe a listing is suppressed, but usually something more severe. Now, let's go to the campaign manager. If you're short on time, you won't have as much time to go through everything. But what you want to make sure is that you're always checking what's happened with your campaigns. The date range I like to use is the last 30 days. That's the date range I personally like to use because it gives me enough data. Now, 27 to 27, which is today, is not the greatest because it's today and today's data is not going to be accurate. So I'd much rather do 26th to 26th or 25th to 25th. 26 to 26, set it up for the day before. Still, Amazon is anywhere between 48 to 72 hours late when it comes to data, but at least it's going to be more accurate if you have at least 24 hours. And the way I like to structure them here is total cost. So actual spend, what is spending the most first? That's what I want to start optimizing because that's what's moving things first. If I start with what's not spending, whatever I make a change of, it's not going to be big. So we start with the total cost. What's actually spending the most and what I can cut the most. This is where you really want to start. And then you start taking it from here. Now, here there's a lot of campaigns, right? But what we do is we go in to the total cost. I love to go to bid adjustments because bid adjustments are very underrated. And you probably know all placements, audiences, Amazon business placements and video. I'm going to do a separate video on all of these, but for now, I'm just going to kind of go through to what we do and how we operate these. Just to let you know, this is the much shorter version because what we actually do day per day, it's a lot more in depth to that. There's a lot more reporting to go, but if you're short on time, it's okay. And here you have the top of search, rest of certain product pages. I recently had a video on explaining how to use them. And what am I looking here? What can I increase or decrease? Now, it's always good to know. Go to your history and see when they were last updated. Example here, the last time this was touched was the 10th of July. I know what's happened and not be happy. So here you should be going up when it's bid adjustment. And again, you should be increasing these bid adjustments if it's under your target. Example, if you want to have ACOS of 20% and this is 10, you can go up. And remember, top of search is the most valuable when it comes to sales and positions. So depending on here, if it's something that's very profitable and I see there's a lot of sales going there and my ACOS is underneath, I can go from 46 comfortably to 60, even 70, depending on how aggressive I want to go. Audiences, if you don't have them, it's no point really to check them. Amazon business placement is something I love. I always like to check it because Amazon business placements are very profitable. So if I see something doing very well here, I will increase it. And again, if I'm doing well and I'm at 15%, I'm happy to do 30 and 45%. Same with video. If I see video performing well, I'll do the exact same thing. Now, once we went through the bid adjustments, you go into the campaign. And again, here we go back into history and we want to see when it was last touched. If it was touched yesterday, then there's not much of a point to do it again today unless there's a big screw up. Now, and I go to targeting. If this is a variation listing, so it's not the best of examples, but we go here on targeting. And in targeting, I'm looking at the keywords, which is keywords here, and what I can optimize. But as we said, we need to go to history first. History, when it was last touched, when it wasn't. It was last touched on the 19th of July. Okay, so we check what's happening. If it happened, yes, there's no point too much to check and to see, but if it hasn't, then we go here and we increase the bits. Now, the way we like to increase bits, I'm gonna do an in-depth video on how to do this. You don't wanna do big increases in bits. If you're at 80 cents, you don't wanna go to 120. 80 cents, it makes sense to go to 90, even 95, but don't do big increments or big decreases. If I'm not happy with my ROAS and I'm sitting at the dollar of a bit, I'm not gonna go to 50 cents, I'm gonna do maybe to 80. I'm gonna maybe go to 90, 80, but I don't wanna go too heavy. 10, 15 to 20% is more reasonable. You just wanna be careful to either spike it too much where your ROAS and ACOS is not great, or vice versa, to decrease it too much where there's no performance. So it's a very fine line. This is how you go into the campaign more in detail, right? But the actual day-to-day, if you have less time, what you really want to do is, as we said, you want to go into the campaign, see what's spending the most. Is there a ROAS that I'm not comfortable with that I want to remove as soon as possible? If there is, you click. If I see something that's underneath, I go in, I find out what it is, and I remove it. Because if you don't have time, you want to have at least a quick look. So you're going in, something you don't like, you remove it. Something that's performing well, can we improve it? Let's do that. You just want to always have a post to check. Also, it's always good to see the performance. What was your last 30 days total cost? What was your ROAS? What was your ACOS? What were your sales? These are things you want to always follow. And as we said, how we check reports every day. If I know yesterday I did $2,000, but I spent $1,000 in my tacos, total advertising cost is 50%, and that's not normal for me, well, then that's something I need to fix. Then I need to check into the account, what's happening. I always recommend this. Check your account daily for sales and ads. Doesn't mean you tweak it every day, but you want to check it every day. What's happening? How is it moving? Doesn't mean you react daily, but you want to check it. You want to keep your hand on the pulse. But depending if it's a new product and how advanced the account is, you want to at least do a full optimization once a week where you optimize all the campaigns and you go in depth of what's happening. You want to do that. And then when it's about a new campaign, a new product, doing it twice a week is not a bad idea. You always keep an eye on it. But what you don't want to do, and this is what beginner sellers do, or even brands that don't understand Amazon, is they would go and change things every day. That's not something you want to do because there's not enough data for you to even react. If you made a change today and you go to check tomorrow, there's not enough data for you to even check. As we said, Amazon's data is 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours behind. So there's not even enough data for you to make a change. So that's very important. Don't over optimize. Don't under optimize. And under optimization means you're not touching bits for a week. That's under optimization. You're not touching anything for over 7 days, so we're going to the under optimization. But if you actually every day go into the campaigns and just quickly check, is there something that's overspending? Is there maybe 50 clicks with no purchases in the last 30 days? Well, let me negate that. It makes sense. Let me negate that, right? These are all things you can do, and it literally takes very little time, especially for less campaigns. If you have 5 to 10 campaigns, very quickly, it takes seconds. So if we had to simulate this, I would go in, I would look at what was yesterday like, what is the graph for the last week, perfect. Then I would go to the campaign manager and last 30 days, and I can see a graph here, which is great as well. I can see, okay, yesterday, even if the data won't be the most accurate, we spent 600, 300, 200. So I can already kind of give myself figures of how yesterday performed. Bearing in mind it's not going to be 100% correct, but there will be some part that's correct. So I'm always keeping a pulse. And this graph is great, right? Because it shows me the performance of the ads throughout the last 30 days. Use these tools. And Amazon is not the most visually friendly when it comes to this, but it's good enough for you to actually look at how it's performing. The pulse. Are my sales going up? Are my sales going down? Is my ad spend going up? You can all look through here. And then once you've done that, then you come and have a quick look here. Is something spending out of control? Let me remove it, because you want to cut it as soon as possible. One way to safeguard that is put lower bids, because worst case scenario, you go out of budget at a $10 instead of $100. So all of these are things you can control. Quick look, anything that catches your eye, remove it, and then you optimize as we showed you. Then again, I want to paraphrase this, and I've done it many times already, but this is when you don't have much time. This is when you don't have many campaigns. If you want to do things properly, it takes a lot more work, a lot more effort, a lot more in detail. Just for reference, we spent so many hours on accounts from a strategical standpoint to how do we stand out with competition? What's our organic rank? What's our sponsor rank? How do we get from here to here? Why is our tacos up or down? We go very deep into these things and very into detail with these things, because these are the things that move the account. Same with optimization. You want to track absolutely everything you do, and the more in detail you can go, and the more you will push the account. I hope you like this video. If you have any ideas for videos, any questions you want to ask me, feel free to do so. Enjoy your day.